Here we are in Netica. There are no parameters chosen, so what you see here represents all regions of the study area across all years from 1984 to 2018. If I choose the Little Mississauga River region and the years prior to remediation, you will see the nodes change across the Bayesian network model. The fish tissue concentrations were high in the Little Miss River region during the years prior to remediation, and according to the Berninger and Tillett data that we used for this study and Netica's calculations, there is a relatively high probability that over 40% of fish would suffer mortality or negative reproductive effects from the PCBs in their bodies. So the probability of fish injury during the years prior to remediation was very high, over 90%, and the extent of that injury was quite likely to be high. If I change the year node to be the years during remediation, we start to see fish tissue concentrations decrease, which in turn decreases likelihood of fish mortality or other negative effects. The probability of injury remains high, but the extent of that injury is almost evenly distributed across the low, moderate, and high state. When I select the years after remediation, we see that for the Little Mississauga River region, the fish tissue concentrations decrease even more than during remediation. Probability of injury goes down into the 60 to 70% range, and the probability of a none to low extent of injury increases, while the probability of a high or moderate extent of injury decreases. Now let's take a look at differences between the risk regions for an individual time period, say 1984 to 1989. I have listed the risk regions in order of their distance from the point source of PCB contamination. You will notice that as the distance from the Little Mississauga River Superfund site increases, the concentration of PCBs in fish tissues decrease. This results in decreases in the probability of injury and the extent of injury for each risk region, respectively. The net can also give us information about desired outcomes. If we want to see the best case scenario to get an uninjured result, we can choose the uninjured state in the fish injury determination node. The net then tells us that to get our desired uninjured outcome, we will need high probabilities of fish mortality and growth effects in the 0 to 20% state, and high probabilities of negative reproductive effects below 40%. This means that PCB concentrations must be brought below 1 part per million. For more information about Bayesian network functionality, check out the resources listed here. Thank you and happy networking!